How much does it really cost to go Nitro Harley racing, and how do you make it work? We're off the Suzuki with a big advantage on the starting line. Rizzling trucking. Wait a minute. Rizzling running into problems. Tony stays pinned. Full throttle top into the racetrack. Tony gets around him. The Harleys sweep the Suzukis. Sit back and relax, guys, because we got a heck of a conversation today. My good buddy Tony Ruggiero invited us into his garage, and what I really admire about Tony, the rider of that beastly machine that you saw moments ago, is he's been able to race a Nitro Harley Davidson, a very expensive thing to do. He's been able to survive with a lot of sneaky tricks. He's been able to do it on a shoestring budget. It's amazing. He is a great asset to the sport. He's a promoter. He's a family man, and he's getting it done on a Harley. Let's find out how he is able to compete in this uber expensive sport. What's it take to go racing? Takes cubic dollars. My man knows this. Tony Ruggiero, oh my gosh, Tony, $750 a pass if all goes well. So good to see you, man. Thanks for having me in your garage.
Yeah.
Excited to be here. We've been friends for a long time, and I'm just astounded that, here's what I want to let people know. You're a very talented guy. You're not a wealthy guy. You don't have a $2 million sponsor.
No, sir.
But you have been able to survive in this sport, which is just devastating on parts. How are you able to do this, Ton?
Just for the love of what we do, man. Second generation drag racer, and real proud of that. And you know, I just love it, man. It feeds my soul. Nitro Harley racing, the camaraderie with all the guys, the racing, the groups, the sanctions. It's what it's about, you know.
So here we are during the off season. What's going on with your bike right now? As we know, the work of a drag racer is never done. What are you working on?
Well, actually, I'm way behind right now. I picked up a crankshaft at the end of last year. I hurt the crankshaft twice last year, and the one I picked up is not good either. So I'm on the hunt right now for a crankshaft, so I'm kind of on hold with about 6 weeks before I got to get to the track. So
I hate to hear that, man. Well, let's throw some numbers at people. Roughly, what does a brand new crankshaft for one of these motorcycles cost?
You're looking at about $6,800 ready to run.
So I imagine you saying you got a bad one, you took a chance on a used one. Is that how it worked?
That's how it worked. Yeah. Picked up a used one, and it was supposed to be good. I had it rechecked anyways, and I'm not going to chance it. So.
Well, I don't blame you. If you don't mind me asking, what's market value on a used crank compared to a new one?
Anywhere probably from like $2,500 to $4,000, depending upon how many runs, how old, or who you're getting it from. Okay, so quite a bit of savings there.
Yeah. How often have you taken a chance on used parts as a way to try to cut corners?
80% of the time. I would say 80% of the time I'm recycled components. Yeah.
Good for you, man.
You know, it's like anything. All the big teams do it. John Force does all kinds of sell down, hand-me-downs to guys. It's the only way we can do it. I mean, I've got some of the best stuff out there. It's just not brand new stuff.
I see both sides of this coin that I'm going to present, because I've heard a lot of guys, especially well-funded guys, throw that out there that, hey, if this part isn't in use on somebody's bike, there's a reason. And in a lot of cases, that's probably true. But I'm sure you see guys that maybe just get out of the sport, or there's still life left in these parts. Yeah. What's the process like when you decide to make that gamble that, okay, I'm going to go for this crankshaft, it's half price, but when you decide to make that gamble, what are you looking for?
Yeah, it's just that. It's just, is there life left in the components? Who you getting it from, who you can trust? You know, it's not a yard sale. It's not, Joe Blow on the corner. So when you're calling up people, and they're getting rid of it for a reason, right? They may have 80 passes on already, and they don't want to take the chance of being out somewhere and having the crankshaft fail them. So they're going to move on from it before there's a problem. I've had really good luck. More often than not, I've got a wall of crankshafts, but I've only bought 2 new ones. And actually, this is what hurts the most. This new one I had in the bike, I only had 12 passes on it. Oh. And I had a failure from the manufacturing of it. And just killed me.
Well, there's no warranty in drag racing, unfortunately, isn't there?
Warranty.
And this is something that we hear from a lot of pro stock motorcycle racers about. You can cook a crank in one pass. I think those guys are spending like $5,000 on these high performance crankshafts. And
yeah, that's crazy. Our parts are normally much better than that. when they go bad, it's normally because we screwed something up. It's not a part just coming apart randomly. I mean, these crankshafts are normally good for 200 plus passes. So, but if you're hard, you're spinning the tire, you're blowing heads off of it, you're banging, you're finding a tune-up, all that stuff takes away from that total number, you know?
You race a real interesting series out here with Western Pro Extreme where you throw all the bikes into one category. You got turbo bikes, you got pro mod bikes, and sometimes we go to tracks that can be a little bit difficult. So based on the fact that that's the mindset and the philosophy, do you tune according? Do you try to tune to get the most value out of this thing? Meaning that you're not going up against, Nitro Harley record holder.
Sure.
So,
I mean, I don't know if I tune so much for the competition because our competition is stiff. I mean, our record's 632 this year. Nigel Patrick and those guys, Gary Christopher out of Canada, they're no slouches. We got Vincent Testa and Craig Brown, and we got a lot of fast guys that run with us, but we don't necessarily run the facility like an NHRA or a South Georgia Motorsports Park where you're going to get the absolute potential best number every time down the track. So, and then, I personally probably try to run my components for the season versus throw everything at it for one pass. I'd be happy with the better average than the absolute one number.
Well, you've done a remarkable job at surviving, and I hope you keep surviving because, Tony, let's be honest, guys like us, we shouldn't be able to race Nitro Harleys. You have always found a way. You're a family man. How many children do you have, Tony?
I got 2 kids.
Awesome.
2 kids.
And we know kids cost a few bucks, and there's a lot of bills to pay. So what are some of the other tricks you've been able to use to survive in this uber expensive support? We have not only parts, but we have travel expenses. We have diesel fuel to get to the races, trailers, crew people.
It's like most of our racing anyways, most of our crew are all self-funded. They're guys that are along for the ride. We don't have paid crew members. And, it's just your passion. It's what you're going to do. You're going to find a way to travel, to go and do stuff. There's no way to cut corners on that stuff. I mean, diesel's diesel and, you have to pay to play. So that's what we do.
I thought you had a great idea a few years ago, and it caused you to actually have to take a step back. You kind of went into the team manager, crew chief role. You had Michael Beland out here running for you, licensing for you, and then running an NHRA National. Did you enjoy that experience, and was that did that give you an ability to keep the team going?
Sure. That's I run Western Pro Extreme Association itself. There's no monetary compensation from that other than just giving us a venue and a place to race out west here. But with that, I did expand to a 2-bike team operation. I started doing a nitro school where you had guys, like you said, Mike Beeland, Michael Balch. I've had pro stock racers, James Serber get involved. I've had, guys, Michael Balch came to me from a stock Sportster, modified Sportster street bike running at RMC, I think it was 500-foot racetrack back there in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
So, that has allowed me to get people involved, to make some money. We were doing an NHRA circuit and they were paying to lease one of my bikes for the event. So that was covering my travel and my expenses, would allow me to run my bike out of my pocket, but 80% of everything was covered through the paid rider. So that was a pretty good deal.
Is that something you think you're going to keep doing in the future, or do you prefer being a rider yourself?
No, I prefer being a rider, but that's something I still do. I actually have my second bike up for sale to try to concentrate on, I just turned 51 yesterday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And I look at it, I've done it for a long time. I started racing in 1998 Nitro Harleys myself. But I just want to take my chance at the top, you know what I mean? And so when I'm running an organization, I'm running 2 bikes or 3 bikes. I build bikes for people. I crew bikes on people. On the West Coast, I've helped a lot of guys get their stuff together, get them to the track. Greg Jesses is another champion out here that does really well. That started with me. And it takes away from you. So I want to try to slow down what I'm doing outside of concentrating on one bike and really trying to kick ass this year. That's my goal. My goal is to go as quick as I've gone this year, be as competitive as I can be, and hopefully take home a bunch of wins and a number 1 plate.
What are your all-time best numbers, Tony?
My best is 680 at 203.
Nice.
So it was about 80, pounds plus
I was gonna
heavier.
say, you've lost a lot of weight.
Yep.
What's been your secret to losing so much weight?
Just trying to get healthier, stay healthier. I started type 2 diabetic, so I started taking a once a week injection, and the side effects is I'm off all my other medications, and weight loss was a big plus to it.
Good stuff.
It's good stuff.
And another one of the side effects is quicker ETs, right?
Well,
so that's not a bad thing.
I'm hoping, we didn't go quicker last year, actually. We every time we thought we were getting somewhere and everything was working well, we'd have a part failure. So crankshafts cooked us twice last year. So
tough break. That's why it is so devastating. We know the old adage, nitro is not your friend. Anything can go wrong at any moment. Taking a look at some of the stickers on this bike, it's nice to see CP Carrillo on board, and that leads us into another conversation. One way to afford racing is to attract sponsors.
Sponsorships.
How much of your time is dedicated to sending out proposals, talking with people, making connections, going to trade shows? Do you do a lot of that?
I don't do enough of that. I've been able to do a couple of trade shows, definitely talk with people in the industry. You try to keep in touch with people, not just once or twice a year at the start or the end when you're trying to get stuff from them. It's a partnership, we all say. Reality is we need them a lot more than they need us. And there's some really great people out there. Snake and Cindy down there at CP Carrillo, they're fantastic. They're great to everyone. They take a small time guy like me and they treat me like I'm John Force when I'm around them. They really make you feel good.
Well, they're super cool. And I'll tell you this too, that I tell people you're doing it right, because I know Cindy and Snake, and they still talk about when you brought the bike down to their event. And I was just talking with a young man at a metric dealership, a dirt bike racer. And he asked for my best advice sponsorship wise. And I said, what I've learned, it's not always about the guy who wins the most or has the most trophies. It's the guy that gives the most back. When you show up at a sponsor's event, when you make a sponsor feel like they're part of this, I think that means the world. And I think that's what you've done for Cindy and Snake and CP.
Yeah, no, they're great. They had a couple open houses a couple years back, and we got invited down there first year. And the second year, we did a fire up and they had all their quad engine tractor pulls. They had Del Worsham out there with his Nitro Funny car. Everything you can imagine with their reach in the motorsports. And the second year, I asked them, I said, hey, can I take it down and do a burnout? And they mistakenly said yes. So I followed up Del Worsham firing up and shutting off. And I put it down and we did, 300-foot burnout in an 800-foot spot maybe. And they loved it. Everyone loved it. It shut the place down. The funny car margarita machine got fired up after that, and legends were made.
You know what? Well, that's part of the reason why you've kept your sponsorship.
Yeah.
I'm sure sponsors love that. So
yeah,
kudos on you, Tony. What's your ultimate goal? You're kind of out here on an island in the West Coast. I love it out here. Used to live out here. Really a fan of what you guys are doing, keeping drag racing alive. What we do know is it seems like every 6 months we're hearing about another track closing. It's just devastating, and all the Nitro Harleys are back east. Do you want to take a venture out there and run with these guys at some point?
Yeah, I love traveling. To that point, big buzz over the winter is the NHRA news with the Nitro Jam coming about this year. So we're all anxiously waiting to see what that 10 race schedule is going to be, where it's going to be, when it's going to be, who's going to be involved in it, allowed to run it. Is it going to be an invitation deal? Is it going to be an open show up if you can? I've got a rider for my second bike we're talking with, trying to finish up his licenses. He's interested in maybe putting a couple of races together and see if we can't travel back east and hit a couple of those IHRA jams.
That would be cool to see. I'm
yeah,
glad
because they're great. I mean, we love to do it. We love to go down the track. We love to show what we can do, but you love the fan participation. So those Nitro Jams, we've done them back in the day. They're fabulous. It's a great Saturday night. So hopefully we can get back to maybe doing one or two of those this year and go for a championship in Western Pro.
I'm very happy to see you guys there. AMRA, HDRA, and you and I were talking about it moments ago off camera. It sure would be nice to see these bikes back with the NHRA for a few races every now and again, right?
I wish. We think we let that boat sail, man. Unfortunately, sponsorships ran its course. And
yeah, for those that don't know the story there, Mickey Thompson was paying the bills for everything, right? And then Mickey Thompson was purchased, and that also coincided with the COVID era. So unfortunately, you guys lost your class sponsor. And I really hope eventually somebody steps up. I know I'm biased as a bike guy, but I just thought, I said, what a remarkable show that these Nitro Harleys put on. And all the Nitro bikes, I think, are just an amazing show. It's kind of like my one buddy, Joe Koenig, even said that he's like, yeah, a Nitro funny car is wild, a dragster's wild, but a bike, a motorcycle, it is, I think, for the general public. I mean, you got to be half nuts to do this, Tony.
Yeah, well, I think that's, the Top Fuel Harleys, we had our run there, and it was great because it was 22 guys in the country that would hit the different events. There was 10, 12 consistent guys that kept the floor going, that set the standard. And but it takes all of us out there. And to that point, that's where the Top Fuel guys are now. Larry and the guys, they got a 4-race series. They're not going to give it up. I mean, they're only going to try to grow. The participation's trying to grow. Guys are coming out with more bikes, more younger guys getting on it. And I think we've missed that boat,
Well, I hope. I had one suggestion last year, not that my opinion means anything, but I've promoted a couple of these, as you know, and kind of have my finger on the pulse of some of the things going on. I told those guys, and I think it's under consideration. I'm so happy the Top Fuel 4-cylinders are at NHRA. I told those guys, I said, man, you gotta let the injected Nitro Harleys in here. And the reason I say that is because we need numbers. And you may agree with me, the biggest thing I learned as a promoter, and I said this to these guys so many times, I said, if you want 8, you better have 12, because inevitably somebody's going to get the flu, somebody's going to run out of money, somebody's going to have a family obligation, something's going to happen. And that's what we saw this year in the NHRA, that thank God Joska and his team are okay. We saw them get into a bad crash and get taken out. Chris Hand's team wasn't able to make it out, unfortunately, but we're hoping this year. But they really do need bodies. And we know, let's talk about the elephant in the room. A lot of Nitro Harley guys don't want to run a 4-cylinder metric bike. But I watched Tracy Kyle come this close, 6 inches away from winning the Man Cup one time against Sam Wills. That you just never know what's going to happen in Nitro.
Well, you don't. But there are Nitro Harley guys that would still do it. And there was some talk, I believe, for NHRA purposes, having some of the absolute elite best of the best be part of it. But it's hard, man. I mean, not to use anyone's name, but when you are a multi-time champion, world champion, and you got multiple bikes out your stable that every one of them is world class and runs the best numbers that Harleys can run, and you're half a second behind what 2 or 3 of these other competitors to do, it's hard to financially spend that money to support that. Sure. It just really is.
Which I get that. It is tough. It's tough to, which I think, more purse money, more sponsors would help all of that. I always thought a great idea would be lump everybody into one category and have the Nitro Harley lone survivor and the 4-cylinder lone survivor. And sometimes I believe that the Harley would win occasionally. If one of these guys, what do we know about Nitro bikes outside of, the SpiderMan champion we know? They're pretty dang consistent. Outside of that, Dan Wagner used to tell me, every 4 or 5 passes, you're going to get a gift. Somebody's going to spin a tire. Somebody's going to miss a tune. Probably 1 out of 10, you'll get one out of SpiderMan maybe,
I can remember growing up with the drag bike days, and Tom Laughlin, they used to do the Super Pro Fuel Final, I think is what it was called, if my memory serves me right. But the Harley, overhead Harley pushrod class would run the Top Fuel champion. Every race, they'd come back for a super final. And the Harley had a chance, but no one likes to need everything to line up just for a chance,
Here's a question I got to ask without being disrespectful, because you just mentioned, some very incredible teams. And I know guys are evolving and guys are pushing the envelope. But I think to this conversation I had with Bobby Spina, we'll be standing on the line in Rockingham. And we'll watch the number 1 qualifier, maybe in the 640s, 630s. Bobby looks at me and he's like, man, I ran that number 20 years ago. Why does it seem sometimes, is this combination tapped out? We've been counting down the days for the first 5 for a long time.
Sure.
Malloy ran a 609, which was close, but never really got to repeat it. Talk, and God rest his soul, I see you got the sticker up here. Yep. Talk and DJ shocked the world, which probably was a 5-second pass. Talk went 602 and hit the wall. But it just seems like it's been so hard to repeat with this combination. What's going to be the next breakthrough here?
Well, I mean, we all think it's going to be forced induction of one form or another. But it's an archaic engine design, as some of the best motor guys out there talk about. So it's overhead push rods. We don't run overhead cams.
Yes, and that separates your bike from Joska's, because I want to let everybody know watching this. Sometimes I take heat that, what do you mean first Harley 5? Joska ran the first Harley 5, and Joska did run the first V-twin 5,
right,
which is awesome.
Yeah.
But it's quite a bit different than this push rod motor.
Yeah, we're dealing with technology. I mean, we have some of the best stuff out there, but we haven't changed the heart of it, the identity of it. We're still a side-by-side. Well, we're side-by-side, but we're still a 45, 46 degree motor and long push rods, low rev, big torque motors. So sixes, the low sixes. Doug Vansel, I think, went 20s.
He did
25 years ago.
Did.
Probably.
I remember watching
maybe
something.
more.
Mm-hmm.
So did single throttle body, 175-inch motors. We're up to 200 inches now, or just under 200 inches. Gear ratios, clutches. We try it all. Comes down to track, having the great tracks to run on all the time, so that we can master that performance and finding those slight incremental increases. You know what I mean? There's a huge difference when we run an NHRA to any of the other sanctions without slighting anyone, whether it's Western Pro, whether it's AMRA, whether it's AHDRA. Man Cup was great, but that track prep of those events compared to our other events, or the track quality, it's just night and day difference. So you take a 650 bike, you go to that track, it's so tight, you can't even run 50s.
Yes.
So to run a 620, you have to be on that track, those kind of conditions, often and a lot to make those gains. And it just doesn't happen.
I had the opportunity to talk with Brandon Mass of Mass Traction. He's another one of the experts. Kurt Johnson is as well when it comes to track prep. And what Mass Traction told me, there's 11 different ways to prep a track. I told that to Kurt Johnson. He laughed. He said, only 11? So apparently there's a lot more. But to your point, you're 100% right. What we're seeing with a lot of the bike races is it's a radial type prep. It's super sticky. I almost fall over. People are walking out of their shoes. And you tell me, but what I've heard is a lot of fuel bikes don't like that, because they like a little bit of wheel spin. They don't want to be that glued to the track where it can cause you to break a lot of parts.
Yeah, I don't think any of the big tire vehicles like that stuff. The radial prep is completely different than what we're used to. So, you watch the Man Cup races from back in the day. These guys, they can't even get into the beams. You never mind the people getting their shoes stuck and falling over. The bikes are literally hardly being able to get into the beams. It's so tight. It just changes everything you do. So
it'll destroy tires too. We should chunk a lot of tires.
And the tire issue is huge. It only happens in those kind of situations for the most part. So, I think it'll happen sooner or later, but it's much later than sooner, I guess, Well,
Tony, since you are the magician that has just been able to, make a quarter out of a nickel for your entire career, if there was a young kid watching this who might not have the biggest budget, who wants to do it, what's the best advice you could give them on how to get involved in this sport somewhat affordably?
Oh, man. Well, you just got to show up. And there's a lot of teams out there. Like I said, most of our crew, most of our staff are volunteers. They're guys that are just have a passion for motorcycles or mechanics to get started. So you can learn where to start, what kind of parts. There's no such thing as an easy way to start. There's just not. I mean, these bikes, they're $125,000, $150,000 new. You can get them 30 to 60 or 70,000 secondhand used, 90 to 100 for some of the state-of-the-art secondhand bikes. There's just no way around it. It's just, you can't go buy a bike off the showroom and put a tune to it like the sport bike and go to the track and start that.
Sure.
So. And
I think one of the big ways you save money too is learning how to do everything yourself. You're definitely not going to be able to take this down to your local Harley dealer and pay $100 an hour labor, 120, whatever it is now. Tony, how did you learn how to do everything yourself? Is it trial and error? And what was the hardest thing for you to master on this bike?
Again, second generation. So my dad still has his bike. We ran a couple times last year. You know, he started 50 plus years ago, 50, probably 5 years now. 4-inch tires was a big tire back then. It's, you know, stock motors.
See, we got any pictures of Dad over here?
Yeah, so this is Dad's current bike. There, Vegas, some years back.
Good dude, right there, man.
You know,
New England boy, right?
Yes, sir. New England Dragway. I wish I had some of the older ones, but you know, this is his 96-inch Ironhead Sportster. It's a stock Sportster 1000cc case motor. We welded plates on that thing, 5-piece flywheel assemblies. These bikes now are so far from it, it's not even close. Ironhead, you know. This was Ron Hownate bike out of Canada, multi-time champions.
Great guy.
It's a Truett chassis, a 114 single cam, Delcron motor, Evo heads. That was Dad's next step up from the Ironhead. And then we bought the big bikes after that. But, you know, that was my first pro dragster right there. Dad's 96-inch Ironhead.
Wow, what year is that?
That is 98.
Oh, my God.
Speed World, Sun City. Right?
Where's that track that no longer exists?
Arizona. Yeah, no longer exists.
Another one that we lost out here on the West Coast. Are we going to be okay on the West Coast? I mean, this is where drag racing was born. It makes no sense to me.
We'll be okay, but we're not going to have 100 tracks. I mean, it's just not going to be. That's what we have out west here. We're hundreds and hundreds of miles apart from everything. You know, everyone thinks racing is not as good out here. It's okay. We just don't. We have so far to travel to go.
Well, I think that's what can really hurt the sport. That I look right now, if you asked me the two best states for drag racing, I'd say Ohio and North Carolina. And the common denominator is you go for a drive, you hit a racetrack every 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And some of these guys have no idea. When I come to your races and what's our guy's name from Colorado? Dustin. Yeah. Right? And all these other people, and they're like, yeah, we 12, 16 hours to get here. I'm like, I hope these East Coast racers appreciate.
Sure.
And I will say this from everywhere I've lived. If you got a track within an hour, boy, support that track if you love it, because
you got to support it, man.
We're dealing with that right now with my father back home, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Keystone Raceway Park is where I grew up. He loves it. There's been rumors, there's rumors everywhere. We got a really good guy running the track right now, and we hope it stays open. But man, if that track would close, that'd be devastating to a lot of people. And just like Fontana closing was devastating to us.
It crippled. And now Irwindale just closed. They're done too now. So you got changes in Bakersfield. The ownership there has changed, and the Irwindale crew is now coming in to run Bakersfield this year. So it's crazy.
Tony, what do we got? What do we got here? Now everybody watching is going to say, "Wait a minute, he must not be that poor. He's got two Nitro Harleys." But I'm sure there's maybe a story of a deal.
This part of the deal. You know, like I said, I work on people's stuff. And this is a friend of mine's bike, Alex Smith, that we've been slowly putting together for about the last 3 years, maybe a little bit longer.
Okay, so this is for a customer.
Yeah, this is a customer's bike.
So that's another way to potentially help subsidize racing, right?
Yeah, that's what we do. So this one, time is up. We're getting this thing done this year. He's getting out on it. So hopefully by April, it'll be on the track. And it's a 175-inch single throttle body PR overkill motor, 5 1/4 stroke, 4/600 bore, 2-speed transmission. So we ran into clutch problems 2 years ago, so he had to go and spend, I don't even know, $10,000 on all new Bonafani clutches. Thanks, to Malloy back there hooking them up, and cool. So we've got all kinds of new clutch stuff, and got another block down there.
If you could, Tony, this is so educational. I love you got all these parts. If you could just ballpark what everything would cost new. I mean, I can even just start with this chain. Is this from Pingle, this chain?
Yeah, these are the Pingle chains.
How much is that chain right there?
You're probably talking somewhere between $750 and $900 a chain.
Okay.
Depending upon the overall length,
And a lot of this stuff is one-off billet. It's not like some of this stuff you can just go order. So what else are we looking at here?
Well, so again, crankshafts are $6,800. I think I was just talking to someone the other day, the new Derringer Type 2, Stage 2 motor, race cam chest, all the bells and whistles. I think that thing is like $33,000 or $34,000 now.
Oh my gosh.
Not to, speak on Johnny's prices, but our motors used to be like 25, 27, it's 20. Everything just keeps going
just
up.
like everything else, it's costing them more for materials.
Sure.
That's getting passed on to the consumer.
Transmissions are $3,500 to $5,000. Belt drives, you can put $5,000 into a belt drive. Clutch system's another $5,000. So another project, cool one I got down here. It's a V60 motor out of Canada.
What?
Ron Hane. This is the second motor for Craig Brown out of Arizona. We're doing a Pro Charger bike with him.
Very cool.
That he's looking to have done and on the track this year too. So that's his backup motor that we'll be putting together here shortly.
What was your most expensive day at the drag strip? Most painful day?
100% Sonoma. A couple years back, NHRA. Mike Beelin's out running my second bike.
I remember it.
We won the event. Got my first Wally with Mike riding my bike, and it was a attrition weekend. There was a crash, took out a couple bikes, couple broken stuff, and I went out for the last round qualifying or first round. I don't remember which one it was, just to make a pass and to try to get bikes down the track. And I lost a rod, broke a crank, broke the cases in half, destroyed a $28,000 motor, destroyed it, and gave Mike the win. So my team won our first event.
But you got stuck with a heck of a
I destroyed a motor. I should have won the race. I was running better than Mike that weekend. You know, that stuff, man.
That's what I was trying to explain to a guy out at NGPC this past weekend in Delano. He was a little upset. He seized his KX500.
Yeah.
Going to cost him about $700. He was a little upset about that. I said, yeah, you can laugh, right? That's child's play.
Please.
That's child's play. The math, we believe, if all goes well, $750 a pass. Is that still the number?
Most of us throw a budget of between $750, depending upon, if I was doing more traveling back east, it would go up more because our travel expense would add to it. But $750 a pass is a pretty solid number to budget for what it takes to run a weekend. And, you're looking at 3 qualifiers and hopefully 3 to 4 rounds of eliminations. So that's, it adds up pretty quick.
So if we give people any more nuggets, any more tricks out of the Tony toolbox, I know one thing I can think of that you also did to help subsidize, and that is you did some match racing, didn't you? You can get booked in for match racing?
Sure, exhibition match racing. That's, it's not top of the line money. It's not win money most of the time when you're running big events, but it's good show money. It's guaranteed money. You get to be the superstar. You get to sell a lot of swag gear. You know how that works with all your Cycle Drag shirts out there everywhere you go.
CycleDragShop.com. Thanks for the plug.
There you go. And so
I'm not selling as many as you, thank goodness, but if I go to the races, people want them, which is cool. I appreciate that. That
always helps. We try to, pick up a buck where we can. And hats, sweaters, shirts.
Well, that's why I always tell people too, if you go to the races, if you admire a certain race team and they got a hat or they got a shirt, a lot of times, that helps them go get a hotel that night. That helps them get some more diesel in the tank.
More diesel in the tank. Yeah, for sure.
It's all of us aren't these.
Another drum of nitro,
Oh, let's talk about nitro. Wait, actually, let me stay up here because we didn't just say we have fuel here. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Apparently, okay. I think you've got a small enough quantity.
I'm within the legal quantity minimums.
Oh, we're good. Okay,
yes,
thank you.
I've done the Homeland Security Act. I've had to do all that stuff.
Okay, so we can't talk about that. Thank goodness. There was a Cycle Drag post like maybe 6 years ago that caused a little investigation, shall we say?
Really?
Yeah, because here's what we know, that nitro can be used by bad people for bad things. We use it for racing, which we love. Don Garlitz found out a long time ago that this magical fluid that was used for dry cleaning can be used to go really, really fast.
Right. Yeah.
So very, very cool. Have you experienced that where, like you said, that process where you have to, make sure that you're within the minimums and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we all had to after Oklahoma City. So we had to, it was Gainesville, actually, 08, I believe. We had to go to Homeland Security classes and clearances. And, you're not allowed to have more than 40, last I checked, it was 42 gallons.
Okay.
At any one time in your hauler, in your possession, anything like that. So, luckily, I never have much more than that. Cool, man. It's always, we do pretty good out west here sharing it. So,
well, good. Since you do know about it, then I can tell the story that's funny. I guess it's funny now we can laugh about it. I think it was like 2019, doing social media for SpiderMan. He sends me a picture of like 10 nitro barrels outside. So he thinks it's cool. I think it's cool. And we make this post, must be racing season. And somebody commented, man, you better take that down. We're like, why? He got a call. And a visit. And luckily everything checked out. Everything was okay.
Sure.
But it's good to know that Homeland Security is following that closely. And, rightfully so. We never know what could happen out there. But it's crazy, this fuel.
It is. I'm sitting here shaking. I swear it was beautiful out here today. And we've been out here in the garage bullshitting for so long. It's literally getting cold out here. It is.
It's freezing cold out here. I'm sorry. Hopefully we're not freezing out your lovely wife, because I know you guys do this as a family. And she's probably like, what are these guys doing with the garage? The garage open. So.
She's like, I'm staying inside. You guys can be out there yourselves.
All right. So I want to get you warm. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I appreciate you being here. Is there anything else we would like to talk about? Obviously, Western Pro Extreme One. Everybody look that up. Nigel Patrick, your defending champion. Great guy on a turbo Busa. I invite everybody to come out and see one of your races this year.
We're excited. We're gonna run in Arizona this year. April 4th and 5th we'll be in Arizona. It's been our first time in Arizona for quite some time. The big bike rally will be going on. So
Arizona Bike Week.
Well, yeah, that's officially, we're not part of that.
That's true.
So there's.
Cycle Drag said it, not you. So you're not in any trouble at all.
We're racing in Arizona
for that, where there happens to be a motorcycle event going on.
Yeah.
I go through this stuff all the time too. They're having a big battle. I go to Ocean City, Maryland, and some people call it the OC Bike Fest. Some people call it Ocean City Bike Week. It really comes down to why are there all these different names? And it's, who can put it on a T-shirt and sell it?
Yeah. Who's got the legal rights to what? So, but we'll be in Arizona April 4th and 5th for our first event. And we've got Race Wars we're running with a couple times again this year. Sonoma, Father's Day weekend. It's a 3-day event. That was a blast. We had 10,000 people out there last year. Set records left and right. Miles per hour ET records got reset multiple times that weekend. We got Bakersfield on the track this year. And so we're excited. We got a 5 to 6 race schedule. And you can follow us on Facebook, Western Pro Extreme page. That's it. We're on my Nitro Syndicate page. I spend more time at Western Pro than I do my Syndicate stuff. But
well, motorcycle drag racing, you're keeping it alive on the West Coast. I really admire what you're doing. Second generation racer. I admire the family aspect. I admire the fact that you're keeping this going. I got to ask you too before we go though. How about the rest of your family? Are we going to see Steve out there this year? Are we going to see?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Steven's
my nephew.
That's right.
Stephen the third.
I've incorrectly called him your brother at some point.
He's my nephew. He still has his pro dragster. He's really tied up with work and home life and a beautiful wife and his boy. I mean, they do all kinds of racing and stuff with him. So we'll see. I hope so, but life gets in the way sometimes,
It really does. Well, we need as many entries as we can get, but you're doing a great job. I love Western Pro Extreme because I love the freak show. I love the turbos versus the nitrous and all these talented guys out here. Guys like Craig Brown, who we saw win a race out there at a turbo Hayabusa.
Don't forget, we get the pro stock bikes out there. I mean, we really have turbo, pro mods. We have everything. Top Fuel 4-cylinder at Ron Myers up there out of Sacramento.
Yeah, that's an amazing bike.
And he's actually close to retiring. He thinks he's going to retire at the end of this year, midway through the year. He's not going to re-up his license. He's going to call it a career. So there's some inside talk about possibly coming out with another rider on the bike at some point. So I, of course, threw my hat in on that one right away.
I love it.
So
we'll see. It would be great to see, Tony. Well, always enjoy visiting with you. Cycle Drag enjoys covering these. In fact, you guys can search this channel and see Western Pro Extreme racing videos right now. I believe we have that magical Tony win on there, don't we? That was in...
We do. Fontana.
Yeah.
Yep. We got that one up there.
I think we also have Ron Meyer running into your wheelie bars. Do we have? Or was it you running into Ron Meyer?
I ran... Yeah, Ron cut in front of me and I ran over him. Yes. That was crazy.
Yeah, things unfortunately do go wrong.
What else we got? Yeah, check the pages, man. They're all out there. We got a bunch of video, a bunch of cool bikes, fast bikes, and can't wait to go racing.
There's so many fans out here on the West Coast. There's so much population. A lot of people want to know where are the motorcycle races. So again, like I said, I don't want to be doom and gloom at all. But if I look at the trend of my life, I sit here with my father and I say, Dad, thanks for taking me to those final Pro Star races we didn't realize it was going to be the end of an era. And Man Cup now, good luck to Hollywood. I like what he's doing, but it seems like the Man Cup as we know it, that era may be over. So my point is, I certainly hope this lasts forever, but nothing lasts forever. So guys, come out and see these races, right?
That's it, man. Well, some of us last forever. Shit, how long Larry's been doing this thing?
Good
right?
Lord, good Lord.
I mean, my dad's been racing motorcycles, nitro bikes for 50 years.
Yeah,
you know?
Amazing.
So, I mean,
I hope to see Pops this year at a race. He's going to come out and...
Yeah, that's the plan. The plan is to come out at least once or twice and hopefully show the kid, like he says, what's up.
Who's this guy up here?
That's my baby girl. 18 years ago now, you know?
God bless you, man.
My son, my daughter.
Very cool. So, guys, I really want to thank Tony. That was great. Thank you for all the insight. And if you guys have questions, leave them down below. Maybe you could answer some of those questions.
Sure.
Tony may be in the comments to answer some of those questions. But so admirable what he's able to do. As I said, this is an uber expensive sport where you can cook a $30,000 engine. All things are relative, though, when you look at these Top Fuel dragster racers spending $10 million a year to go racing, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
yeah.
Tony can still be in the ball game. So let us know your thoughts down below. If you have any questions, leave them. And by all means, check out the channel to watch him in action. And make sure you subscribe because we're going to be at some of Tony's races this year. Thanks again to Tony. Guys, if you like this video, here's another one for you. Subscribe right in the middle. From beautiful Fresno, California, you know if there's anything fast motorcycles, we're in. Cycle Drag rolls on.